Hello, welcome to week 3, the pace and consequences of globalization. We'll start with a refresher of globalization, integrating economics, communications, and cultures across boundaries. We have transnationalism. Global civil society is a term that groups that operate across borders and aim of influencing the world. NGOs, multinationals fall into that group as some examples. It's an accelerating political force. Globalization brings people together with capitalism, private markets, expanding markets, labor, capital, all emerging and across borders and boundaries that previously restricted that use. Accelerating political force with technology, the innovation we've seen with cell phones and the global connectivity with the internet. It's moving information and people as well with transportation faster than ever before. We see these capabilities that approximately 68% of the world's population have cell phones. Internet users exceed 2 billion, almost half of the world's population. Social media, the ability to interact in real time with groups and individuals across the world is creating change, and it's creating globalization on a truly global scale. The impact of global communications with democratic internationalism, the basic political and moral concerns of people conflict with imperial domination and violence. You see that it undermines authoritarian governments when you can communicate globally and information can reach you. An example you've seen in China where it attempts to restrict the internet and the flow of information from the internet in China. I think ultimately that's going to fail. Ultimately, when you allow information to flow, it's pretty hard to regulate and stop it, especially in the manner it's flowing today over the internet and cell phones. You see, the policy can resist or promote globalization. A promotion is government, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, started in 1947, and the World Trade Organization in 1995. These try to enforce those GATT and other tariff trade agreements and try to moderate the disputes. Also, government policy, there are trade barriers on the other end of the scale to try to put restrictions on free trade. The International Monetary Fund, it helps regulate payments and deficits that are owed by countries. The concept of globalization, can simultaneously support democratic reform and lead to environmental degradation. We see that in Brazil with the rainforest, and there are many other examples. Let's talk about the economic interchange across borders and how the economics have affected it. The critical aspects of economic globalization are the centrality of an informal sector and impact of identity politics on economic exchanges. What does that mean? Well, that means that one measurement is GDP, gross domestic product, where we measure the income of a country that excludes foreign earnings. So just what is the country producing? What are they producing on a yearly scale? Obviously, the United States has a higher gross domestic product than many other countries. I do not believe it's the highest anymore. But let's talk about global organization next. An amalgamation has occurred of transportation, communication that has really led to Western culture being promoted through cultural exchanges. You see an example would be multinationals where you have the restaurants. I'll use fast food restaurants as an example, where you have McDonald's and other fast food restaurants that have expanded and put our cultural imprint from the U.S. all around the world. As well, Disney's another example, Disney theme parks in different parts of the world as well. Language, English is becoming a common language for trade, business, communications, and culture around the world, and that's been a significant change. Consumer products, consumerism, everybody wants their piece of the pie, their iPad, their computer, their cell phone, their car. So you've seen the need and the want for these different consumer products that spread from the U.S. and other Western developed countries around the world. Evaluating this, where are we with globalization? There's arguments that link prosperity and indirectly democratization to peace, and how governments and society more widely distribute benefits. Again, multinational corporations that I've talked about before, they have branches and subsidiaries in more than one country. So you see where companies expand and they have emerging markets in countries around the world. What are the concerns here? There are a lot of positives, but there are some concerns we talk about. It does water down cultural diversity, I would suggest. What do I mean by water down? Well, it's great that we have the U.S. exports their culture, or other countries export their culture, but that presumptively means it maybe takes away just a little bit from the other country's culture. Some would suggest that it adds to it, and I would agree to a point. But when we historically loved many people anyway have loved French for their food, and then we put a bunch of fast food restaurants from the U.S. and the French love that too, and they start partaking in dining at the fast food restaurants. Maybe we lose a little bit of French culture with their rich history in food. Just a suggestion. Countries sometimes try to restrict, therefore, access to other companies and countries coming in with their cultural footprints. Let's talk about the trends of internet users. Put this graph up here. It's real interesting. You see, over 2 billion, just a little over 2 billion as of 2010. Obviously, that number's trending upward. It's going to continue to go upward until probably 80-90% of the world at some point. It'd be hard to say 100%, but probably 80-90% at some point in the world are connected to the internet, if not close to 100%. Top global companies, which are the most profitable? See, Nestle chocolate there is profits 242%. ExxonMobil, Dutch Shell, China Construction Bank, AT&T, Communication, oil, and interestingly food, Nestle at number one. Transnationalism, process of people working together as individuals and private groups across borders with other individuals and groups to accomplish a common purpose. We've talked about this before. This is really one of the emerging trends, but you have to juxtapose that and counterbalance that with nationalism, whereas the belief that the nation and the nation state, where you are, is the ultimate basis of political loyalty, and one nation is entitled to self-government. So there's a tension there between nationalism and transnationalism that's always at play. So I just want you to be thinking about that this week and as we progress through the course. Again, NGOs, we've talked about those before, and also IGOs, we've also talked about that. Global civil society, it better captures the range of common identities that emerge across the world. NGOs are said to be driving the global civil society, these international organizations with private memberships. The growth of NGOs between 1900 and 2005, it grew from 69 to 11,400. So these non-governmental organizations are spreading throughout the world and are going from all points and tentacles or reaching out throughout the globe. So they're causing change. Transnational movements, religious movements. We've seen the rise of religious conflict. It's always been there, of course, but we see with fundamentalism and traditionalism, kind of clashes with this transnationalism and these new cultures coming into a country. So there's always going to be resistance to change, of course. Islam in the world, Muslims constitute approximately 23% of the population. So just look at this chart here. You see 100 to 80% population in 2010. You see obviously vastly in the Middle East and Africa. So you see there with the world, it's very stark map. See the rest of the world between 19.9 and 0%. The vast majority, what I'd call a gray color. Transnational movement, the women's movement, there's obviously still to this day, as making this video, obviously women have had fewer economic, political, and social opportunities than men. I believe there's trending upward to change that, but these are still basically unfortunately still the facts. But there has been a goal to make some changes here, and both in the U.S. and around the world, to improve opportunities and make sure there's more equality in that area. Still a long way to go. Transnational crime, obviously, when the Soviet Union fell in the late 80s and early 90s in the Soviet bloc, I believe that increased the possibility of crime. With authoritarian regimes, it was a lot harder to have movement and criminal illegal activity, or at least you didn't hear about it if there was. So I believe there's a lot more crime that's come in the last 34, 40 years because of the rise of transnationalism, and it's allowed these groups and these organizations and people and individuals within them more access around the world. Where's the future? Where are we going with this? It's transnationalism has been kind of a barrier to globalization. We'll see. It's still you're still writing that as we're making this video, and as you're going to go out and work in the continue to work in the business world and political world. So it's yet to be determined. But that's it for week 3. We'll look forward to seeing you week 4.